This is 68-year-old Peter Sullivan, and he was just released from prison after spending 37 years for a crime he didn't commit. In August 1986, 21-year-old Diane Sindall was driving her van home one evening when it broke down. It was the 80s, so she didn't have a phone, so because of that she just started walking home. When all of a sudden some random guy pounced on her out of nowhere and just dragged her into this nearby alleyway. He then assaulted her before taking her life. He fled the scene, but he left his DNA evidence. Shortly after the attack, they arrested a suspect. It was a 30-year-old with learning difficulties. His name was Peter Sullivan, but unfortunately at that time they didn't have the technology to test the DNA evidence and compare it with Peter's. So even though Peter pled his innocence, in 1987 he was found guilty of murder and was put in prison where he has stayed ever since. But anyway, 16 years ago, his lawyer requested that they test the DNA evidence, which was found at the scene of the crime in 1986, because it was still preserved, but his request was denied by the judge. Then, more recently, they had sent another request, and this time it was granted. And after testing the DNA, they found that it did not match Peter's, meaning that Peter could not have been the killer. And as a result, he was finally released from prison after serving nearly 40 years for a crime he didn't commit. Needless to say, they'll give him some compensation money, most likely millions of pounds. However, no amount of money will ever give him his time back that he lost, and that's the most important thing. He was interviewed upon his release and he seemed to be in good spirits. He says that he's not angry, he's not bitter, he's just really happy to be finally released from prison, and all he wants to do now is just spend time with his family. Yeah, so this was a mad story. I mean, when you think about it, he could have been released 16 years ago if the judge just granted that request for the DNA to be retested, but he didn't. And all this time Peter was branded the Beast of Birkenhead because Birkenhead was where the crime was committed. So he had that reputation as being a savage killer all these years. But I'm glad that justice was finally served.